Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another day of Conspiracy Take the Crown previews. Now, if you weren't aware, this weekend there were 7 stores that were selected throughout the world that were able to do a special conspiracy draft with up to 8 players. So these have already begun, which means we've learned a whole lot about the set in the last few hours and overnight. Now in Australia, the first one fired off late last night, and we learned a lot from that. There's been more going on since then, and because of that, we have 134 cards to look at. So that sounds like a lot of cards, but actually what we're going to do is there's 20 new cards. We're going to talk about those like we normally do, and the rest are reprints. So after we talk about the 20 cards, I'm just going to show you all the reprints. I won't do any sort of summary or analysis since we are going to do the full set review starting Monday, and we'll talk about these cards anyway. It would just be way too long of a video if I tried to do that. But I at least wanted to show you the cards so that you got an idea of what they are and what you can expect from the set. Now, aside from those 134 cards, we also got confirmation that Show and Tell is indeed in the set. We talked about this in yesterday's video. This was a card that was leaked, but it turns out in the first draft late last night in Australia, somebody did open a Show and Tell, and here's a picture of it. So yes, it is in the set, which is awesome. I won't go into a lot of detail on this card since we talked about it yesterday, but phenomenal inclusion. Very excited to see this reprinted. That's awesome. Let's move on to the new stuff. And we'll start with Custody Soulcaller. This is 2 white and 1 for a human cleric, 1/2 with melee. Whenever this attacks, return target creature card with converted mana cost extra less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of players you attacked with a creature this combat. So I actually like this card. I mean, it costs 3. It's only a 1/2. That feels a little weird, but you do want to remember when it attacks, even alone, it's going to attack in as a 2/3. So that's a little better. But where you find the real value here is you're going to just attack with this thing once along with some other creatures. It's probably going to die in combat, and you know that going into it. But if it does, you still get to take something from your graveyard and put it right into the battlefield. That's where the value is in this card. And for some reason, if it doesn't die, wonderful, even more value can be had with it. But yeah, that's a good amount of value for 3 mana. I'm happy with this card, not only in a conspiracy draft, but even in a cube and even in Commander. I like it that much. Next we have Palace Jailer. 2 white and 2. It's a 2/2 human soldier. This is an uncommon. When this enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. When this enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the monarch. Now, it's a 2/2 for 4. That doesn't feel super good, especially 2 on color. But you are, 99% of the time anyway, drawing a card on your end step after you play this. That helps with the value a little bit. The exiling the opponent's creature, I would have felt a little better if I could have also maybe done this to any creature. If I could do this to one of my own creatures with enters the battlefield effect, I would have liked this card probably quite a bit better. But you do have to think, sure, I can get rid of an opponent's creature temporarily. The Monarch token is going to move around a lot, though, in most cases, so I don't feel like that's going to be a really big window to suppress a creature. Maybe it helps me get into for one big attack or something like that. I don't know. This feels a little inconsistent to me. It's okay. It's not a bad card in draft, I don't think, but I don't know if it would always make my cut. It's definitely not a high pick for me in most cases, but it's playable. Don't get me wrong. It's certainly a card that you can find some value out of. Next we have Palace Sentinels, a white and 3 human soldier, 2/4, and when this enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, and it's a common. So this is a white common now that lets you get the monarch token. We saw a black one a few days ago, and I think there's a blue one coming up we're going to look at as well today. But that's kind of nice because I like the fact that there's a lot of ways to get that monarch token. It means it's going to be moving around quite a bit, and this card in itself, paying 4 for a 2/4, and hopefully getting a card draw at the end of the turn is very economical. So I think this is just fine. It's also another option in Pauper to play with the monarch strategy. So I don't know if that would be a thing or not, but it's kind of nice to see that there's some commons that at least allow you to try that. Next we have Spectral Grasp, a white and 1 enchantment aura uncommon. Enchanted creature can attack you or a planeswalker you control. Enchanted creature can't block creatures you control. So basically this is a multiplayer pacifism. That's awesome. This is fantastic design. Now pacifism, very powerful card. I mean, really premium white removal, always has been. Now if you're in a one-on-one game, this is just pacifism, which is okay because sometimes maybe you have a cube and you already have pacifism in him, but you'd like to put this card in as well, it gives you that option to do it. This is a card that will be phenomenal in Commander, and this will be great for you in the Conspiracy Draft as well. I mean, I just love the fact that yes, you're nullifying the creature as far as interactions with you, but not interactions with your opponents. So that's kind of awesome. Fantastic design. Love this card. Next we have Canal Courier. 1 blue and 5. It's a human rogue, 3/5. When Canal Courier enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. When Canal Courier and another creature attack different players, Canal Courier can't be blocked this combat. I can't believe I said that without getting all tongue twisted. But anyway, great card. This one costs 6 for a 3/5, and you become the monarch. And it's a common. So that's what I like about it. It's a common. It seems a tad expensive, and maybe it is, but in a multiplayer game, 6 isn't really that bad. And again, you're getting that card draw at the end, and you're also getting a nice ability out of this thing. You attack with another creature, and it gives this thing evasion. That's actually pretty good. So I do like this quite a bit. It's also encouraging you to attack and to actually attack different players, which again is just going to keep the game moving. That seems to be the whole point of this limited format, is attack early, attack often, draw cards, keep the game moving, don't let it stall out. Don't let people just sit around and get decked, which is phenomenal. It's great design. Again, it's another common too that could play in Pauper if you were looking to try to use the Monarch token in Pauper. Here's another opportunity to perhaps do that in yet a different color. So I do like this card quite a bit. I think it's great in the Conspiracy Draft. I could even see myself playing this in Commander perhaps. Messenger Jays, a blue and 4. It's a creature bird. Flying 2/1, Council's Dilemma. When Messenger Jays enters the battlefield starting with you, each player votes for feather or quill. Put a +1/+1 counter on Messenger Jays for each feather vote, and draw a card for each quill vote. For each card drawn this way, discard a card. So you're getting yourself a little flyer, which maybe could be a bigger flyer, or your opponents are going to let you loot. It's actually a pretty powerful effect. I mean, paying 5 for 2/1 on paper doesn't look good, but it does have flying, so check on that box. And then the fact that it's either going to have to grow or you're going to get to loot. I actually kind of like this one. Now, granted, it's a little awkward because your opponents could simply give you +1/+1 counters, and they could be holding removal, and you don't get a ton of value out of this card. But at the same time, sometimes there's a situation where one opponent may have an answer to this card in their hand, or maybe have a big blocker with reach or flying or something, and they don't mind giving you the +1/+1 counters in order for you to just want to attack maybe a different opponent, whereas that other opponent doesn't want that big creature because they don't have an answer for it. They let you loot. You could find some interesting value here. Now, the downside is this card gets worse as the game goes on, because if opponents start going out, then this card's just not as good against less people. That is a risk you're taking. Because of that, it might not always make your cut. Depends on your deck and how aggressive you're trying to be, but it's still playable. I think it is a good card, at least in the Conspiracy format, if nowhere else. Next we have Skittering Crustacean. 1 blue and 2. It's a crab, 2/3, and it has Monstrosity 4. You can pay a blue and 6 to get that. As long as this is monstrous, it has hexproof. This is the type of card I really like in Limited, because it's a nice beater early game, a 2/3 for 3. Those are good stats. And later in the game, when you have the extra mana as a mana sink, now you get yourself a 6/7 with hexproof. Yes, sign me up all day long. I will play this card. It's good in the early game. It's good in the late game. It's really hard to deal with. Granted, sure, it doesn't have evasion, but it's a big creature with hexproof. That's good enough for me. Very happy to play this in draft. I also think this is cube playable. Maybe not in like a power cube or anything, but there's certain cubes that could run this. Deadly Designs. 1 black and 1. It's an enchantment. Pay 2. Put a plot counter on Deadly Designs. Any player may activate this ability. When there are 5 or more plot counters on Deadly Designs, sacrifice it. If you do, destroy up to 2 target creatures. Speaking of designs, this is awesome design. First, let's talk about the downside. I mean, you're paying 2 for this. You do have to get it pumped up before you get any value out of it. It's not going to feel good if it gets destroyed before you actually get to destroy creatures with it. So you're taking that risk. Here's the upside, though. In a multiplayer game, this is phenomenal because it allows players to wheel and deal. This opens the table to some negotiation. I can pump some mana into this if you want to take that creature out right now and then any other creature of your choice. But I'm concerned with this creature currently. Can you help me out? I'll help you out, sort of thing. And that's phenomenal design. This is going to be really fun in Commander games. It's going to be great in the Conspiracy Draft. I wouldn't be as psyched about playing this in, say, a one-on-one format. Like, I don't want to play this in my cube, probably. It just feels like it's a little too slow and can be destroyed before I get any value out of it. So that doesn't feel good. But I think in multiplayer games, this will be a lot of fun. Next we have Garrulous Sycophant. It's a black and 2 human advisor, 1/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you're the monarch, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Now this card looks simple, but there's a lot of complexity to it. First off, the stats are good. I mean, it's 1/4 for 3. It's a nice little blocker. If you have the monarch token, it lets you keep the token. It feels a little weird that it's not giving you the token when it comes into play, but seems like it's powerful enough. Although I wouldn't mind even paying another mana, even another black mana to get the token on top of it, but maybe that would have been too good, not sure. And once you have the token and you have this out, it kind of snowballs. Like, if you have a fair amount of opponents left, you're gaining a fair amount of life every turn, and it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. I mean, your opponent losing 1 life isn't huge, but if you're gaining 4 or 5 life every turn, that can get a little awkward. So I think that this is another card that's going to put a target on your back. So it seems good, but you do have to be prepared to deal with multiple opponents at once if you're going to play something like this, or at the very least, expect them to try to wrestle that monarch token out of your possession or destroy this creature. So I don't know. I think it's a good creature, don't get me wrong. I just think it's a card that looks simple, but there's a lot of play to it. So I do like that, and I do really like the design of it. All right, next card comes to us from a Japanese language spoiler. Loosely translated, we think it's Marchesas command. A black and 3 enchantment. When this enters the battlefield, you do become the monarch, and whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, the controller of that creature loses 1 life. This one I'm not super thrilled about. I mean, it's great that it gives you the monarch token if you're in for that strategy and you want to get as many ways to get the token as possible. Well, here's another way to do it, and then in that case, it's probably playable in the draft. But I don't know, just 1 point of damage to attack me or planeswalker doesn't feel like it's significant enough, especially for 4 mana. I just feel like my opponent's just going to be like, all right, I'll take the damage and I'll hit you for 15. So I'll take the 3 points and hit you for 15 points. Yeah, okay. And it's just another card that just doesn't feel like it's going to be quite worth its value. I just rather have something else in my deck that's going to have more of an impact and be less defensive. So yeah, this one I'm not super excited about. Next we have Regicide. 1 black, it's an instant, it's a common. Reveal Regicide as you draft it. The player to your right chooses a color. You choose another color, then the player to your left chooses a 3rd color. Destroy target creature that's 1 or more of the colors chosen as you drafted cards named Regicide. And I also love the flavor text and the art, by the way. Just an awesome card. So I really like this design. I've said this in some of the other videos, but these cards that allow especially new drafters to start to learn the nuances of drafting. And as you draft, you get good at reading signals and figuring out the people next to you are drafting and trying to stay out of each other's way. But especially when you're new to a draft, a card like this really makes you start to think deeper about that strategy. Because now I draft this, I turn it face up. The players on my left and right are basically going to tell me what colors they're not playing, and I also get to choose a color. This is going to allow me to hopefully stay out of their way and vice versa in the draft. That's awesome. And as far as removal goes, it's very strong. I mean, 1 casting cost instant to destroy a creature that's not those colors is pretty good. Now, granted, it'll be annoying if you want to destroy a creature that is one of those colors, but at the same time, in a multiplayer game, there's going to be plenty of targets. You'll find use for this. It's going to be good. Now, if I'm playing cube, maybe this starts off in my sideboard until I see what my opponent's playing, and then I bring it in if I need it. That would maybe work better in that situation, but still a really good removal spell. I really like it, and unfortunately, it's kind of a dead card if you didn't draft it, so you can't play it in Commander or anything like that, but it is very good in draft. Next we have Sinuous Vermin, black and 1, rat horror, and for 2 black and 3, I get Monstrosity 3. As long as this is monstrous, it has menace. So I get a 2/2 for 2, and that's great. Bear with upside, I'm happy with that. But mid-game, I can make this thing a 5/5 with Menace. Yeah, sign me up. This would be great in a conspiracy draft. Yeah, a bear is not super exciting maybe in a multiplayer situation, but it's still a good 2-drop. 2-drops are going to be important to stay in your curve. And the fact that this 2-drop does something once you get to 5 mana is pretty big. So I really like this card a lot. It's a common. You'll see a lot of these floating around in the draft. Next we have Smuggler Captain, a black and 3 human pirate 2/2. Draft this face up. As you draft a card, you may reveal it, note its name, then turn this card face down. When Smuggler Captain enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card with a name you noted for cards named Smuggler Captain. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. So this creates a link between this and another card, so that when you do play it, you're able to tutor up that other card. That's actually pretty decent, but there's some downside to it you have to take into account. Cost 4 for a 2/2. That's not going to feel good. If the card that you linked to it is already out of your deck, you already drew it or whatever, then this is super unexciting when you draw it. But if you draw it and that card is still in your deck, you get some great value there. It's a gamble. I'm probably going to take that gamble, though, in the conspiracy draft and be happy with it. I also love the fact that this is a pirate creature type. Phenomenal. So having said that, there's also a little bit of value to be had in this in the draft itself, because, again, you're revealing that you have this black card in your hand, and you're also revealing what you're linking to it. If that's especially another color card, it gives a lot of really open signals to the whole table of what you're trying to do. Again, that could help your draft go smoother in a lot of cases. So I do like that as well. So you might even just draft this card and might not even have any intention of playing it. But I do think it's a good card to play in the draft. It's a little riskier in a cube draft than, say, conspiracy draft. However, the reward could be greater, because you do have to notice this is any card. This isn't just creature card or non-land permanent even. I mean, this is any card you want. You can link to this card. So you can start linking some really powerful things. Now, granted, you still have to get it out of your hand. It doesn't go into the battlefield or anything. But you could get yourself maybe a nice removal spell or something like that with it in cube. So yeah, you gotta weigh the risk or reward. I'm a gambler. I like these kind of cards. It might not always be good, but when it's good, it's gonna feel really good. Goblin Racketeer, 1 red and 3, Goblin Rogue, 4/2. When this attacks, you may goad target creature defending player controls. This is a fine limited card for draft. I mean, you're gonna pay 4 for this 4/2. Okay, that's fine. And when this attacks, yeah, it might just trade with something, but a 4/2 could trade with something relatively big. I do like that. And then the goad ability is just kind of nice. It forces more action, forces that player to attack a different opponent, and maybe opens them up for another attack next turn. So yeah, I think this is a really fine common for draft. Borderland Explorer, a green and 1 elf scout, 3/1. When this enters the battlefield, each player may discard a card. Each player discarded a card this way may search his or her library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in their hand, and shuffle. So here's the thing. First off, stat-wise, 3/1 for 2 in green, that's pretty aggressive for green. You don't usually see that necessarily in the low casting costs for green. So I do like that. Nice aggressive card. You get a little bit of upside. Maybe if you're trying to go really deep on your colors, maybe you're just splashing a third, or even trying to go for a more of a 3-color deck or something like that, then this may help you more than it's helping the opponents. At the same time, this could also help your opponents. If they really need to get a certain basic land out, they have the opportunity to get rid of a card and go searching for that basic land, put it in their hand. So you could be helping other people at the table, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in a multiplayer game. Maybe not as good in a one-on-one situation, but again, regardless, you're still getting yourself a 3/1 beater out of it. So I think this is still a really good card. It's better for you if you're going maybe 3 colors, but it's still very good regardless. Leopolds Operative, green and 2, 3/2. This is an elf rogue. Draft this face up. As you draft a card, you may draft an additional card from that booster pack. If you do, turn this face down, then pass the next booster pack without drafting a card from it. You may look at that booster pack. So we've all been there, right? You've all been in a situation, you get past the pack, and there's 2 cards in there that are amazing for your deck that you really want, and you know neither of them are going to wheel. And you just wish you could take 2 cards from the pack. Well, this card lets you do it. And it also has some good stats. It's a 3/2 for 3, which is just fine in the conspiracy format. But this could really be a big play for you. Now, the downside is you don't get to pick from the next pack. so you don't necessarily know what you're missing. You do get to look at the cards though, so that's good. You don't lose out on the information. That can be very, very important, but you do miss out from picking a card from that pack. But you know what? You're going to know when the time's right. You're going to see those two cards and just think, these are the best two cards I can imagine at this point that are going to come up. I want these two, and then you just pull the trigger on this. And you know what? If that opportunity never comes up, if you never pull the trigger, then it's okay. Not only did you kind of show the table that you're into green, but you also have a 3-2 for 3, which is just fine in the Conspiracy Draft. This is another card that could also be really fun in Cube, and again, the power level goes way up when the card's power level go way up. So this is a card that if I could pull two huge cards or maybe even combo pieces out of the same pack in a Cube, this becomes really, really good for you there. Menagerie Liberator. 1 green and 3, 3/2 human warrior, has trample in melee. This is just a common beater. It's a green trampler. It can get bigger. Now keep in mind it costs 4, but you're also able to attack in as a 4/3 trampler, even if you just attack with this. I feel pretty good with that. I also really like the art on this card too. I just love a lot of these cards. They've just done great things with them. But aside from that, even though melee tends to be more of a Boros thing, it's nice to see it leak into some other colors, and this is a really good example of a card that makes sense. I mean, this is even good enough. I would feel okay playing this in Commander, especially if I have a lot of little creatures with evasion or tokens or something like that. This thing can be quite a beater. I think it's also a good cube card too, especially if you want to incorporate some sort of go wide strategy in your cube. Next we have Orchard Elemental, a green 5 elemental creature, common 2/2. Council's Dilemma. When Orchard Elemental enters the battlefield, starting with you, each player votes for Sprout or Harvest. Put 2+1/+1 counters on Orchard Elemental for each Sprout vote. You gain 3 life for each Harvest vote. This one I'm not super crazy about. Now, much like the Flyer we saw earlier, yes, certain opponents may want to buff this because they have an answer for it, and they figure, okay, you know, I have an answer. I'm going to give you the counters. You can go attack someone else with this. And that's actually pretty good. The gaining 3 life is not super exciting, so I'm just afraid if you're behind in the game and you're about to lose anyway, and you pay 6 mana for this thing, there's a good chance you're going to pay 6 mana, you're going to gain some life, and then you're just going to get beat down the next turn and the next cycle of turns and lose before it gets back to you anyway. So yes, it's not super exciting for me. Is it playable? Yeah, it's not the worst card in the world by any means, especially if you play it early. Of course, this becomes a lot worse if you play it later when you have less opponents. But in a Conspiracy Draft, it's a playable common if you're looking for something to round out your playables, but I'm not super excited about it. Splitting Slime, 2 green and 3. This is an ooze, 3/3. This one's a rare. For 2 green and 4, it gets Monstrosity 3. And when this becomes monstrous, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of Splitting Slime. Of course, that copy won't be monstrous. This one I like. Okay, I'm paying 5. I'm only getting a 3/3. Okay, but next turn, hopefully, I'm playing that 6 land, and this is becoming a 6/6, and I'm getting another 3/3. And then the next turn, that one's becoming a 6/6. I'm getting another 3/3, so on and so forth. This gets out of hand real quick. Again, this is another one of those cards your opponents, once they kind of realize what's going on, they're going to have to deal with it, or deal with you, one of the two. So this could put a target on your back, but it's also giving you an army of large creatures to be able to defend yourself and retaliate with. I really like this. I think this is a good commander card as well as an incredibly good draft card, I think. I could see this making into some cubes, but this will also be great for you, of course, in Conspiracy Draft. Alright, last new card of the day is Throne of the High City. This is a rare land. You can tap it for colorless mana or pay 4 and tap to sacrifice it and you become the monarch. I do like the static effects that stick around, that you can pull the trigger to become the monarch at any time. I haven't seen too many of them. I saw a green card that can do it and then this. But I do like that because it does a few things. Takes some value away from a player who just got the monarch token, and it kind of takes it away from them maybe before they can draw their card. That's one thing you can do with it. Another thing you can do with this is just have it sit out there until you need it. You wait until you play those cards that have the really good benefits of the monarch token, and then you pull the token back to you. You don't have to worry about it going away before you kind of attack in or do what you want to do. So there's a lot of flexibility to be had here. Now, having said that, when you build your deck, you do have to be aware that this is potentially taking up a land slot with colorless mana. So if you're going really deep on colors, you may want to either not play this or put it in one of the spell slots as opposed to in a land slot, because I've seen it many times. Players will play these type of lands that are good lands, but unfortunately they end up having color issues because they went too deep on color and they put this in a land slot. So keep that in mind, but it's still a good card. It's going to do some work for you in this format, definitely. Having said that, we're now going to look at all of the reprints that have been spoiled, and there's some good ones here. First off, I'll say shout out to Ghostly Prison. That was a nice value inclusion. You're going to see that in just a moment. But what you're going to find here is whenever I had a good picture of the card from one of the drafts that's been going on, if I found something good on social media, I put it on here. If I couldn't find a good picture of the card, if it was just something I saw on stream, then I just went ahead and put an older version of the card for you to just look at it and be aware it's going to be in the set. And quickly, before I show the comments, just a reminder, tomorrow I'll be back with any other spoilers that come up, and there's not a whole lot of cards left to see. But regardless, Monday we'll definitely be back with the set review, and we'll begin with part 1, and that will go out throughout the weeks. Until then, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and hey, enjoy these reprints. always for watching. This video, like all my videos, was made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Even a donation of $1 helps me to keep growing this community and creating better quality content for all of you. Check out our Patreon page for exclusive giveaways and future goals for the channel. If you haven't yet had a chance to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the MTG news, spoilers, set reviews, product openings, or finance videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.